I think we still don't know the full extent of what they did to try to hide what they've been doing over in the West Wing.
Okay, so the first thing we're hearing about is the idea of cover-ups. There's a feeling that the full story of some actions, particularly in the West, is still hidden. This commentator mentions a mic drop moment from Scott Jennings, emphasizing that we still have a lot to learn. And it's their opinion that there are, without a doubt, cover-ups happening. Now, they're connecting this to Joe Biden's perceived decline and the sudden rise of Kamala Harris. They are suggesting that the timing is suspicious, especially with doctors showing up to the White House and reports of things spiraling downhill. It's quite a claim to say Harris was lifted without a vote to run against Donald Trump. This is really heavy stuff if it is true.
I think leaving in disgrace is when you have an insurrection at the Capitol. Like, that's leaving in disgrace. Being impeached twice is leaving in disgrace. So that's a difference. I think Joe Biden's going to be remembered in the short term for what you were talking about, whether or not he had the capacity to lead, who knew what when. I mean, there are many people outside of the very small network of Anita Dunn and Valerie Biden Owens and Jill Biden and Hunter. There aren't many people who knew the concerns that were there or whether or not he was up or fit for the job. And so those questions will be asked. Over the long term, this is somebody a lot like Mitch McConnell. You don't necessarily have to agree with everything they stood for. You don't have to agree with every vote, but you always knew they put the American people first.
What do we make of this? The idea of cover-ups is always a red flag. But to suggest a direct connection between Biden's health issues, a power play by the DNC, and Harris's rise is a huge claim. And that it was somehow an orchestrated move is really something. It does make you wonder if there are more layers to these events than we're being told.
I mean, he should have never run for re-election. Mike is exactly right. When he got asked about regrets, the fact that he didn't say, I regret that 13 American service members lost their lives in Afghanistan, to me, that he can't muster the courage to say that now is a disgrace. Beyond that, he's leaving office in disgrace. I mean, you got less than 20% of the American people now that think the country's on the right track. That's a lower number than it even was on Election Day. And what's happened since Election Day? He pardoned his son, Hunter. He commuted the sentences of a bunch of evil killer thugs on federal death row. Not all of them, just the ones that he wanted to. Didn't even make a principled stand on that. And then he went on vacation, which is where he is.
Next up, they're talking about Biden's relationship with the DNC. The presenter here offers a pretty spicy take that Biden might be turning on the DNC. This theory suggests that Biden's pardoning of Hunter Biden is a sign he's turning on the DNC. It's as if he's saying, if you're turning on me, I'll turn on you. Again, this is an explosive idea, suggesting a deep rift within the Democratic Party. This is some serious political intrigue being put forth. Is it possible there's a power struggle going on behind the scenes? The presenter is suggesting a lot of anger and mistrust, which if true is wild. It is also important to note that this is coming from their own personal opinion and observation. Okay, now the focus shifts to Biden's legacy. There is a comparison to Mitch McConnell, saying that regardless of agreement, people knew they were putting the American people first. The presenter also says that Biden was considered moderate until suddenly he changed. He also states that Biden was always against open borders and has received a lot of flack for saying that.
Right now, this is a failed, disgraced president, and he has never, ever owned up to what happened in Afghanistan and the role that that played in destroying those families' lives and destroying his own presidency.
So I think Donald Trump needs to say, I'm sorry that 1 million people died in COVID while I was telling people to shine light in their bodies and take disinfectant.
That's false.
No, that's exactly what he said. He said you should shine light in your own body.
Again,
right?
I'll go through this with you guys.
And take disinfectant.
All right, we can fact check
He needs to say he's sorry for that.
He speculated about the effect of light on the virus and disinfectant.
Right. While the doctor stood
Publicly,
behind him.
And you know what?
People told us to stand 6 feet apart and wear masks, and that didn't exactly solve anything.
This is an interesting point, that Biden has suddenly changed. The presenter is claiming he was moderate and is now extreme on border issues. The comparison to Mitch McConnell is a pretty smart move. It frames Biden's change as less authentic and more political. Now, was that change a betrayal of his former position? Now, they're highlighting Joe Biden's perceived failures, using a CNN interview about regrets during his presidency. The commentator says Biden's inability to acknowledge the loss of 13 American service members in Afghanistan is a disgrace. They're also saying that he's leaving office in disgrace, pointing out that less than 20% of Americans think the country is on the right track. Okay, this is some harsh criticism, especially the part about not acknowledging the deaths in Afghanistan. And to be fair, that does feel like a very big thing to overlook. It's clear this commentator feels that Biden's actions and lack of acknowledgement are extremely damaging to his legacy.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries, people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for us to keep up with this president.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep, your boots will get stuck in.
They are calling out the fact that there's no clarity on what happened in Afghanistan. They point out that they are still getting testimonies of people on the ground, and also that no high-profile officers have been held accountable. They also highlight the Hunter Biden pardon and that they were told he was not above the law, and now the story just moves on. They suggest that the news cycle is trying to make Biden look better. They are also calling him a failed, disgraced president who has never owned up to what happened in Afghanistan. They even say that Donald Trump should apologize for COVID and that he told people to shine light in their bodies and take disinfectant. It's really interesting how they tie everything together here. The lack of accountability in Afghanistan, the Hunter Biden pardon, and the overall perception of Biden's leadership is being portrayed as a disaster. And that is the crux of the presenter's reaction here. It's not just about specific events, but about a larger narrative of failure and disgrace. I mean, it is a lot of bad press, and it does feel a bit like a hit piece at this point. Now they are saying that the news agencies are trying to convince the public that Joe Biden was always healthy and good to go, and that they are really pushing a narrative that he has the stamina to continue on after 2024. They highlight the statements from various people who say things like, he is sharp, intensely probing, detail-oriented, focused, and tough, and that he has vision, Knowledge and strategic thinking. The sudden flip of media focus is kind of hard to deny. The presenter is suggesting that the media is working to get Joe Biden reelected. Now, it is true that media outlets are very often partisan and will try to sway people to one side or the other. It's a stark contrast to the earlier criticisms, which creates an interesting dynamic. Well, that was a lot to unpack. We've gone from claims of cover-ups, the AD&C power play, to harsh criticism of Biden's legacy and media manipulation. There are a lot of opinions and strong statements in these clips. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Themba from Black Coffee Podcast presenting on behalf of Black Coffee himself.